So thank you for the introduction. There is nothing more to add. So I will jump directly to my presentation to show you an example. How do we cope with a national subsidy for organizing design competitions? Well, what we understand as an architectural and urban competition, very briefly. We see it as a process of obtaining both architectural or urban planning project, but at the same time, it's a process to get the best author for this project of building or of a public space, etc. In the Czech Republic, if you use such type of competition in the first, say, round, then you can use an easier following procedure of public tender. This means that you don't need to address more people. You just can address those people who participate and who won the competition. It can be used for all architectural and spatial planning documentations, but as Matthew already mentioned, it's not obligatory in the Czech Republic. There is no limit for any money when you need to use the competition. It's just recommended, but it's not obligatory. So you can use any other types of procurement that are in accordance with the law. This type of design competition is regulated by our Public Procurement Act, and at the same time, if you want to organize a competition, you need to follow some rules which come from the Czech Chamber of Architects. By the way, I put some pictures in the presentation to show you some results of former competitions, just as an illustration what goes through the competitions in the Czech Republic. So what we see as the most important benefits of competitions. Of course, you select the providers of the future project based on an idea how the future solution will look like. You have the possibility to compare quite a large number of different designs. What is quite important for us that we give equal opportunities for participants. It means not only for the famous architects, but also young architects, professionals on the beginning of their career, they can take part in the competitions. Very important, the evaluation criteria is not just price, but it's more focused on quality. By the way, in the Czech Republic, we have a rule that for architectural design projects from some level of money, you cannot use only price as a criterion. You need to use quality criteria for selection of the project. What is important as well is cooperation of expert jury. There are some rules how to form the jury. You need not only people from the municipality, you need also some professionals, architects in the jury. It's a transparent process, and it also gives a good opportunity to present the results, to give it to media, and it also involves people, especially in the terms of some presentation of the results of the competition. It does, of course, cost something. It costs time and it costs money. In our statistics, we see that the competition itself takes roughly 3 to 4 months on the average. And it costs a little bit more than 2% of the total investment cost of the construction. Or if we talk about some urban planning documentation, it could be the price, same amount of money for the price of the documentation. It's not only about the money that goes to awards, to the people who win or are in the second or third place, but it also involves other costs like preparation of the competition, announcement of the competition, and for example, you also need to pay for the jury. These are the numbers of competitions that happened in the Czech Republic since 1993. You can see in the last years, it's rising a little bit, but it's still not that much as we would like to have. To compare it a little bit to Europe, this is some older study from 2015 based on data which are almost 10 years old now, so the situation is a little bit better now. But as you can see, we were roughly in the average of our neighbors from Poland, Hungary, from the surrounding countries. The leaders in Europe are Switzerland and France. If we count just the total number of competitions, France is winning. If we compare it to the number of inhabitants, Switzerland is the first one in Europe, according to this study. And we are not that bad, but definitely not that good. Some statistic of the competitions in the Czech Republic. The average money that goes for the awards is between 10 and 20,000 euros. We have quite big attendance in these competitions. On the average, it was almost 30 different teams taking part on the average in the competitions. What is quite interesting, most of the competitions in our country are organized by public bodies, mostly by municipalities. You see 86%, which is the huge majority. What is also quite specific, more than 70% are open competitions, which means they are open to anyone. Anyone, any architect can join the competition. Half of the competitions, they aim on getting the project, and a little bit less than half, they aim on getting the idea what to do with the area or with the problem. For me, quite interesting number was that a little bit more than half are new buildings, and almost one half of the competitions take care about reconstruction. It could be either reconstruction of buildings or reconstruction of public space, for example. I was also surprised to get the numbers of how many competitions lead to a contract. 80% of them lead to a contract, and 95% of the contracts are with the winner of the competition, which is quite incredible for me. And in fact, I cannot answer you why is it that. Maybe we are a little bit afraid of going to the court or so. And more than half of the competitions themselves, they are either realized or on the way to realization. What are the most important or most frequent topics of the competitions? First, it's public space, streets, squares, and then followed by parks, for example, landscape. We also do competitions for planning studies, regulatory plans, so urban planning competitions. And the third groups, most important group, are cultural and community buildings, public buildings. This is just a map where the realized projects based on competitions were realized in the Czech Republic. You can see they are concentrated especially in Prague and then in the second largest city of Brno. But they also go to small municipalities, which we are especially happy that this happens. So now I'm coming to the topic that I wanted to talk mainly, which is the subsidy program for organizing competitions. What was the main impulse for this? It was the architecture and building culture policy of the Czech Republic, which has been issued in 2015, or it's been approved by Czech government in 2015. And it includes 71 measures, and 2 of these measures they are focused on architectural competition. The first one says that it's desirable to organize architectural and urban competitions for important public spaces that are funded from public money. And the second one says that it is recommended to use architectural competitions for buildings funded from public budgets. We discuss quite a lot if there should be the word recommended or if there should be the word it's obligatory. Finally, we were happy to have at least the word recommended. We were not able to put the word obligatory there. So what we want to achieve with the subsidy program? Of course, we want to support quality of buildings and built environment by ensuring better mode of selection of architectural and urban designers and their production. Also, we wanted to raise the number of architectural and urban competitions. I already showed you that we are not that bad in the regional context, but we are not that good in European context. So that's why we wanted to raise the number. And of course, we wanted to fulfill those two measures of our architectural and building culture policy of each republic. So how does it work? The subsidy is a national subsidy program. So it uses our state money. It does not go from European money. It's just the money of the Czech government. It's managed by our ministry, Ministry of Regional Development. We are responsible for quality of architecture. We are responsible for communicating with the Chamber of Architects. But for example, for the cultural things, it's cooperation with Ministry of Culture. For the sustainability, it's cooperation with the Ministry of Environment and with the Ministry of Trade, etc. The program has been approved by the Ministry of Finance. And the total budget per year is quite low. It's about 200,000 euros per year, which in the state budget is almost nothing. But it still was quite difficult to organize this. The mechanism is that we support half of the money that goes for awards and rewards in the competition, and there is a maximum number of 15,000 euros per one competition. We do not give money for paying for the jury or for the preparation of the competition because we want it to be as transparent as possible. So we just give the money for the rewards and awards. We didn't want to give more because of possible misuse of the money. The people would raise the price for the awards and rewards. So we wanted to keep it half state, half the organizer. So the competition must be organized by a municipality. We always ask the competition to be open, and we want the competition to lead to a project. So not just ideas that go into the shelf. We want to be focused to have real results in our areas.
3 minutes, Joseph.
Okay. It works for buildings or public spaces, including reconstructions funded from public budgets. And also we can make competitions for future planning studies, spatial and use plans, or regulatory plans. There are some criteria. For example, we prefer smaller municipalities. We prefer areas when there is a monument protection. We prefer if there is already some allocation of the funds for the projects, etc. There are usually 3 months for the submissions of the proposals for the subsidy. So to say what was good and what was bad. The good, we did it. We opened the program. Last year, there were 8 applications, which seems quite a low number, but it's 20% of all the competitions that happened in the Czech Republic. Unfortunately, only 5 of these applications were successful. The other ones didn't meet the criteria, so we only supported 5 of them. You can see we paid about 50,000 euros, so we did not use all the budget that was allocated for this subsidy. The projects were quite diverse, from community centers over cinemas, parks, and even a fountain. Unfortunately, there was no call for submissions open for this year. Why? Because we got a new manager of the program in our ministry, and they were not that enthusiastic for the program as we were. The government decided there are more important projects. For example, we gave much more money for fighting with the small beetle that eats our forests. And what was found as difficult, these are small projects, so it's quite there is lots of administration with the projects. But to turn to the good, we expect the call for submissions to reopen for the next year. We will make some changes. We will open it for the city districts. Hopefully we will not limit it just to projects, but we will open it also to idea competitions, and it will be easier. You will not need to submit a paper version, etc. So to say key lessons, so what we learned, the innovation is the financial support of competitions, because we believe that quality of built environment rises from the quality of project. There it all starts. And we believe that competitions support the project quality. We wanted the subsidy to spread the use of competition, especially into smaller municipalities. And as you see, it's not a big money, but even this small help, we think that makes the difference. We learned that the terms should not be too restrictive, too difficult. And I think what was good, we made some studies before to know how are the average prices in the competitions, how many competitions we need, etc. Very good is cooperate with experts here with the Chamber of Architects. And we also learned that we need to communicate the subsidy to the users, to the municipalities as soon as possible. Also, you need some methodical support later. And probably the most important, the success of the program depends on the will of individual people. If the people who organize it, who support it, are not interested in the project, it does not work. Just to finish, we also put some projects for dissemination of the process. We give award for the buildings which are realized based on competitions. On the pictures, you can see an example of a reconstruction of a pub in a small village of 371 inhabitants. And they organized the competition for this, which was for me quite incredible. And there is a small cinema again in a village, which has been realized based on competition. So that's what the ministry awards. Thank you very much.